Hey everyone, Kim here, Abundant Life Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me for another Mystery Mystic reading. We are revisiting the case of Debbie Collier. I want to be very respectful with this reading because for all I know, her family has started the whole process of moving forward, moving on, accepting what has happened. We haven't really heard from Debbie's family after her daughter gave her interview on the podcast. I forgot the name of the podcast. So we haven't really heard from anyone else in the family. How are they feeling about the investigation and where it stands? The autopsy came out last week, and according to this Fox 5 Atlanta news article, it says a 59-year-old office manager from Athens died from inhalation of superheated gases and thermal injuries and hydrocodone intoxication. Although she had a prescription for the opioid painkiller, the hydrocodone levels in her system surpassed the expected amount roughly 4 times over, according to the source. And as far as law enforcement is concerned, this case is closed because they have taken the stance that she took her own life. Now, the autopsy did not reveal that there was any soot in her, nose or esophageal regions, but that she actually succumbed to a flash fire that released superheated gases that I guess can kill you after one breath. But it's just all still so peculiar. She was found nude. I don't know if she had any clothes on or if they burnt off. There was the mysterious Venmo message. And, there was a lot of suspicion swirling around this case. So I'm going to tread lightly, but I was asked by one of my viewers to look into it. And I'll be honest, I am curious to see now that the parts of the autopsy report have come out, how's her, what's going on? And let's see what Spirit is willing to release to us, to share with us. Hierarchy. Okay. Hierarchy. I'm going to just do a quick opening reading, and then I've got some questions for a quick tarot reading. Hopefully it's quick. But we'll take as long as we need, but I don't think it's going to be a long reading. Spirit, what will you share with us about where we are today and what's coming up? I use jumping cards, so I'm just looking for the cards that jump. We have the universe, the swarm, one card, please, Spirit. Air. Okay, so we've got, I'll zoom in here so you all can see these cards, but we got hierarchy, divining, knowledge, the universe, the swarm, and air. So what I'm sensing here with the hierarchy, this is about establishment. It could also be like who pulls rank in a family, in a governmental entity, law enforcement. So this is about someone maybe pulling rank in this situation. And, that's how the troops, the officers, the family members are all rallied to believe something that has been established. So one of the key meanings to this card, to the hierarchy card for this particular deck, is established belief, gradual progression. It can represent someone's ambitions and secrets. secrets. So there's been secrets building up over time that maybe has started to be revealed. I say this because of the divining card, knowledge, air, universe, the swarm. So it may have been something that was secret about Debbie that has been released to family, to law enforcement, and that's why they're still holding firm. However, what stands out to me about this card is that it's speaking on multiple different levels as it relates to this situation. First off, law enforcement. There's a hierarchy. If there were people who had questions about what may have happened to her, real legitimate questions, maybe even wanting to come out a little bit more public with what they did have, but then someone pulled rank and said no. Secrets. Falling in line. Someone has ambitions to maybe move up politically or maybe get a better position, a promotion. So that is the law enforcement side of things. In terms of the family unit, there's a pecking order in terms of every family, right? There's, your immediate family who holds more rank. And then there's the rest of the family, then friends, and so forth and so on. So someone at the top was like, this is what it is. We need to accept this. And this is how we're going to move on. And then finally, we have the matter. Sorry, my throat. We have the matter of the secrets surrounding Debbie. Her own secrets. Secrets about her, around her, and what she's dealt with, her own secrets. And so it's a combination with this hierarchy card, things that are at play. And I'm waiting for this car to drive by. So I encourage you all to check out the readings I've done in the past. I'm not going to rehash a lot of things. We're just going to move forward. And you can watch the past readings to get more insights on what was all going on, what we were all picking up on energetically back then when we were doing readings. We've got divining, and this card is about a search, finding a hidden source, latent information, and need to dig beneath the surface. What do we need to dig beneath the surface about? This situation over here. What knowledge do they have? Something to do with the fire. This arrow also is about this is intentional, targeted. Now, don't misconstrue targeted as, this whole big conspiracy theme. But there is something planned and orchestrated. And look, it's no coincidence with the flames. What I do plan to do sometime in the future is to revisit her cards again. Now that we've gotten a bit more information, just a little bit more with the autopsy. And we're going to see how the past readings played out with the cards, and what I can learn from going forward. Looking at it, looking back at it. So the universe. Well, before I go to the universe, I want to circle back to divining. There's again flames. There's flames here. The latent information card is sitting over the swarm. This is about organized action in response to a threat, a belief in a cause, and conformity. This means that there's something hidden about someone conforming and just going with what they feel is the best option. That is what I'm picking up on here. There is knowledge of this, and there's some people who would love to break rank and release the information, but they can't. They have to fall in line with the swarm, rank. Before we get here, let's go to knowledge. This is about rationality. Having an absolute focus. I mentioned that earlier. Targeted, absolute focus. Conformity. Again, that falling in line energy. And this information is known to those closest to her. We don't know. And I don't know if we ever will. Okay. The universe card is about completion, ultimate awareness. So this could be encouraging that perhaps there could be an ultimate awareness surrounding what happened to her. And the thing is, a lot of us feel entitled, like we think we need to have all this information, and I can understand why. We start to feel for these people, build a bond as we watch video after video, news reports, read articles about them, and we become invested. And if something harmful happened to her that was outside of her, what we want as a society and as a compassionate human being, we want justice to be sought. But sometimes, again, I always say this in all of these readings, justice looks very different from what you may think is owed, and it happens time and time again. So, this is about completion. Someone coming to terms with how things ended with her. Case closed. Completion. Hierarchy over the universe. And again, this is strength in numbers. So you've got the Georgia Bureau of Investigations saying this. You've got Habersham County Sheriffs. I believe that's who was the agency, the local agency. And then we're talking about the swarms of there's people who really believe that she took her own life, and that she took all these pills and either accidentally lost her life to the fires, flames got out of control. It turned out, this autopsy said this past week, that over 80% of her body was burnt, with many areas having third-degree burns. I mean, this is terrible. And in order for the inhalation part in her autopsy to occur, means that she took a breath. So that means that she could have felt that pain. It just is awful. It's awful to think about and feel, to be honest. So so there's that. We have the air card. This is about thought, clarity, communication, and aloofness. So what I'm getting a sense from these cards here, my loves, is that I don't see much else happening. I feel like this universe card is speaking to an understanding, a completion, an ending, something completed, done, and no one is going to really push forth the issue, because we've got the swarm mentality, the hierarchy, but there's something about the flames. Something about the flames that we need to go a bit deeper. And it is a bit upsetting and sad to me that there's not going to be much vested interest in going deeper and beneath the surface based on the current energies. What I mean by that is that based on the current energies, what I'm picking up on energetically, that their family is okay with this for the most part. They're not going to push it. It would take them pushing it. It would take them going back to social media again and talking and trying to get people to take a further look at this. And I don't know if they're at that point. And so that could change. Free will causes people to go in different directions, right? So that could change. But that's what I'm sensing here. Well, Well, I'm going to pause here, take a picture of these cards, and then see if I have any additional questions I want to ask. I think I do. I did write out some specific questions, but I'll see if any of this answered those questions, and then I'll shrink them down some for the tarot and oracle reading. All right, loves, I'll be right back. Okay, so let's get to this next part. So what we're looking for is just certain questions to be answered, Spirit. Like, for example, who is responsible for Debbie's passing? Was it someone else? Clues on who? Is there really a chance that she did this to herself? What's the ultimate cause of her passing? Will anything come from the autopsy? What were clues that we missed? What about that gas can? Was it filled up? Did she do it? We have drugs or overdose. And I may use the tarot for questions like, will her family pursue this further, or will law enforcement pursue it further? But we'll just first see what oracle cards fly out. This is missing. See what oracle cards fly out, and then go from there. Stalker. I looked at some of her earlier readings I did on this particular matter, and another deck that I used had like a spine or stalker card, so I find that interesting. Stranger. Oh. Political affiliation. Meeting. So, okay. Fear. Investigation, investigator, PI. Okay. All right. So I think many of the questions that we're going to get today from Spirit, thank you, Spirit, is here. But I do have a couple of questions I'm going to pull out towards the end of the reading to ask more about the investigation piece. So let's look at all the cards with an open mind, okay? Drugs or overdose. Now, it was mentioned in the autopsy that she had 4 times the, I guess, the normal level for hydrocodone, Vicodin in her system. However, she had an ongoing problem, a continuous problem with back pain, with a back issue. And she was prescribed this pain medication. So she had access to it, which also means she had a higher tolerance for it. I will be honest, I've myself personally, back a long time ago, had an issue following a surgery. And I'm pretty sure that I took a lot. And I don't know if 4 times, it's really hard to say, is 4 times, what does that translate to in number of pills? Like, what is that milligram wise? You know what I mean? So it would be interesting to look at the actual autopsy report so we can actually look at it in black and white. Is there something we are missing? You know, is there medical records? Maybe there's psych records or something, or there's her going to the doctor and having to deal with the issue of the payments. I don't know. They didn't release that. And some would argue we're not privy to it, but this came up. And it came up for a reason. We have missing. She was, in fact, for a bit missing, but this could be about a missing link. Something missing that's just beneath the surface that we're not seeing. Stalker. I don't know. Let's look at the rest of the cards before we circle back to stalker. We have stranger. Did she encounter a stranger? Did she, because I'm saying this because of the meeting card. Now, the meeting card could be that this was planned, orchestrated by her. She wanted to go and be in this area. Maybe there was no intentions of, being burned up. But something happened. It always felt to me energetically like somebody else had a hand in this. I will be frank. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what I felt. And I can't deny that. That's what I felt. Now, some people could say, well, maybe what you were feeling is her dual sides of herself. One minute she's portraying how happy she is. The other part is how much in pain she is. And ultimately, the one who was in pain did something harmful, whether by accident or, taking her own life. We also can't ignore this card. Now, in the context of some information being covered up, this seems like the nice pat response that you can close the case. There's no evidence that her loved ones, of course, and we're grateful for that, that her loved ones were involved. Okay. They didn't find any evidence of third-party involvement. They just feel like with the totality of the evidence that she did this to herself. However, there's so many glaring questions about the text messages, that part of her preparing, and it seems like this might have come on suddenly. Like it's really hard to say. But this card did come up. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, well, perhaps maybe this is all by design. They went ahead and said, you know what, there is no evidence to support someone did this, but there is evidence that, she drove there. That was her. She bought these items. She took this. She ingested pills that she was prescribed, and she also started the fire. Don't know what evidence they have to say she started the fire. Remember in this earlier part of this reading, I talked about the fire elements being at issue. It just seems odd to me. Like, did someone come, to this meeting after the fact? Who is the stranger? To me, what it denotes is someone other than her. Political affiliation. So I did a pre-reading on this before I did the actual reading here with you all. And this card came up. What I took from this, another missing link, is that it is, again, easier just to say that it is this than it is to dig any deeper. There's people who have political ambitions, aspirations for promotion, etc. This is a bit political. No one really wants to push back on it. Don't understand why. Maybe it's local politics that I'm not privy to, but I found that interesting. Now, of course, political affiliation could represent, something related to politics, but I don't think so. This feels different. A meeting, what is that about? Fear. You know what I was expecting if it was her taking her life? Aside from this card, I expected to see the mental anguish card or something to show that she's in a lot of mental turmoil or physical pain or something. But what's interesting is what we got is fear. Now, her daughter kind of implied in her interview that she did on that podcast that Debbie's daughter was like, she said in the Venmo text message that that Debbie sent to her daughter for $2,400 approximately, they won't let me go. And so it's implied that we're talking about demons, or we're talking about her demons, maybe her addictions or her pain or something. They won't let me go. So that could be the fear. But it also could be a fear of retribution. covering up the missing link. The pre-reading I did last night on this, before I did it now, is what came up to me was that it was just easier to close it down. And they have, they need closures. They need, case closed to help a position of some sort. I don't know. I'm not going to dig too much more deeper into that, but it was just easier to close it. This is interesting to me. The investigation card could mean a few things, one of which is that they feel like they have a solid investigation and that there's not much more that is needed that the case is closed. The case is closed. Law enforcement feels like this was a meeting with just herself and the ghost in her mind. And then there is these elements here, stranger and stalker. The other little keyword on this card is PI, an investigator. So we have the investigation from the police, but in order for this to move a bit further, it would take her family hiring a private investigator or some other entity of like some outside pathologist or someone who could really look at all the evidence and see if it all makes sense. And maybe they have already done that. Maybe they've already done that. And we're going to ask about that now. Because here's the thing. Maybe her family has some information and we're just not privy to it. And because I'm really getting a hard no at this point. That could change in the future, but right now and for the foreseeable future, I'm getting a hard no on anything further happening here as it relates to the autopsy results being released. Will her family pursue this further based on the current energies? Will anyone in the family? And Spirit may or may not reveal who, but we'll see. We've got the devil. I get coldness with that. And I'm not saying her family's cold. I'm getting a no. I'm getting a no. They are not going to, there's no plans in place really to pursue this further. How are they feeling now, Spirit, generally speaking? I know this isn't going to cover for every single feeling, but generally overall. 7 of Cups. Emotionally, they're managing and they're compartmentalizing right now. It's what I'm getting with the 7 of Cups. It's just easier to move forward. The Devil, so in Tarot, for me, you can have cards that mean yes or no, affirmative, negative. This card for me is a negative. I'm not getting a strong sense of anybody pursuing anything further. Okay. And I do get a sense that they're slowly coming to a place of peace. Now, this says love affair, dirty little secret down low. I wouldn't read too much into that. I think what this is telling me is that they want their privacy. They want their privacy as they, continue to heal. It's a day-by-day process with the 7 of Cups. And this is mainly healing emotionally is what the Cups represents. So that's where they stand. How about law enforcement? Dr. Bodden, a renowned pathologist, someone I watched back in the early and mid-90s on the show Autopsy on HBO. That's a cable network in the United States. I faithfully watched Dr. Bodden's show, and he seems to think that it was outrageous what law enforcement had come up with in Georgia on rendering this decision. That's why I said it would be curious and helpful if someone would, champion that. But they really can't do that without, the cooperation of her immediate family. So, will law enforcement further investigate? Okay, so there's going to be a flurry of information coming out, maybe podcasters, messages here with the Eight of Wands, YouTubers, or just people, bloggers, or people who write news articles about, just touching on this story. They already have, and it may continue on for the next few weeks. These wolves in the Five of Wands knows that our attention span is fleeting, and that they can be quiet or even put out messages that they are looking into everything just to make sure everything was proper. And at the end, we're still at a place of conflict here where we don't know. We still, for those who follow this case closely, there's still going to be this unknown answer of being conflicted over what happened. And there's infighting here on what to do about this information, just to be sure. But I don't know if it's like they're limited on their resources, staffing, I don't know. Or is it something more like this, where, they need many closed cases, and that this is just the simplest thing to do. It makes the most sense. And, we're not exploring anything further. I was hoping that Spirit would also just reveal, we got drugs or OD, so that's there. The flames kept coming up in in one of the parts of the readings I did for Debbie, and I'll link all of the videos that I recorded for her case in the description box so you can see them if you wish. But there was a lot of cards with fire. I just assumed it was destruction of evidence. And I guess in a way it did. Because whose fingerprints are on the gas can? Was it the gas can that was the, that had all the combustible stuff? They said it was, I don't know. There's some issues there. Spirit has something to say. I was going to see if Spirit would release anything about what may have happened to her before we wrap up. I think with the autopsy, we've got our answers. Look at that. We got our answers. So we know. That's interesting. We know we know what technically caused her passing. Unless someone else wants to do a second opinion on it, but we have timeline. There's more clues in the timeline of things, or the timeline is staring us straight in the face, giving us the answers that we need, and we may just be in denial. This card, you can faintly see it. Denial. Or this could represent the family being in denial, or law enforcement. There's heavy denial. So there's that. It says the R word, non-consensual or assault. I don't know if her injuries if she was burnt so badly that it would be difficult to be able to tell if there was some sort of assault on her. Or, I don't know how they could rule out that someone else wasn't there and caused this. But maybe it's the totality of the evidence that they haven't shared with us. But I find this card curious. Meeting. Someone meeting her. Spying. Maybe Maybe she feeling watched. Maybe she was actually watched, but a sense of someone being spied upon. And then this card. You know what's interesting? When I looked at the pictures, I take still shots of the readings I do for these cases. And like we had the Lover's card come up a couple of times. We had like, I think there was a few cards that came up, oracle cards as well, that indicated lovers, like a pair. Either she being a part of a pairing or a pair having their hand on this or being involved. This is not to say her daughter. And you can see my past readings on what my intuitive hits are about that. But all of this is alleged, all of it, because really and truly, we're just tapping into the energies of what we are picking up here surrounding Debbie's case. That's all that we are doing. But I don't know. I think at this point, unless there's some major development, I am going to close the file on this one. And it's sad to know that she went in this manner. This is what it boils down to. And, you know, it's upsetting that people are to that point. And to that end, I hope that if you're ever at that point, that you reach out. You know, it's really upsetting if that's the case. But more importantly, what's upsetting is that the way she went out and just all the unanswered questions. And I just think that these are the answers here for me, and I just have to accept it. So there you have it, folks. I'm going to rearrange these pictures, and then I will just chat with you all later. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. What are your thoughts about all of this? Have you read the articles? I'll try to remember to link in the description box down below the the latest articles, so you can read up on that if you'd like. And then let me know what you think happened. Just try to be respectful, because again, you know, she has passed away in the most traumatic way possible. Her family based on all what I'm picking up here, is really trying to move forward. All right, do me a favor on your way out. Please hit the like button and also subscribe. It shows me the love and support that keeps me doing these readings, and I thank you. All right, my friends, take care. Bye for now.